Okay, so for this question, let's forget about three processors and consider one, because if you can do one, we can do three. And let us try to solve these three questions, okay? So first question asks, performance expressed in instruction per second. What we have to do is look at the formula sheet. At the end of the cheat sheet, you will have all of these in the cheat sheet. So IPS, instruction per second. Here's the formula. Okay, now we have to find this. Do we have the two components for the formula? Clock rate and CPI. Uh, clock rate, we have it. CPI, we have it. Okay, then we can solve this problem. So I just do the solution here. So let me remove the extra things. Now, here you can see IPS equals to the formula we got from our cheat sheet or reference sheet is clock rate divided by CPI. The clock rate given in the question is 3 gigahertz and the CPI given in the question is 1.5. And if we just do this, we will get the result. You do this in the calculator, you get the result. And this is to the power 9. There's no minus. It's the okay. So this is the result of the first question. Next is I'm doing this because we lost the recording of the initial video that I made. So I'm just going over it quickly. So if the processor can execute a program in 10 seconds, which is like CPU time is 10 seconds, then find the number of cycles and also number of instruction for the processor. So two things, number of cycles, number of instructions. That's two questions. And you're given 10 seconds, which is the CPU time. So number of cycles, let's try to find that. Number of cycles, okay? Okay, but we don't know the instruction count. So this is unknown, this is unknown. So we can't use this formula. Let's look at another formula. Number of cycles, okay. CPU time, we know it's 10 seconds. And clock rate, we know it's 3 gigahertz, right? So we can answer this question. And let's quickly go to the solution, or I can just do it here. So number of clock cycle equals to 3 gigahertz. It's 10 to the power 9. How do I know that? You can find it in the cheat sheet from this table. So giga is 10 to the power 9. Okay. So 3 into 10 to the power 9 into 10. 3 into 10 to the power 10. That's the number of clock cycle. So unit is this many clock cycle. There's no unit for this one. And we did the solve here. The next question asks number of instructions. Okay, so number of instructions. Let's look at the formula. So we can use this because now we know the number of clock cycles, which is 3 into 10 to the power 10. And we know CPI is 1.5. We can know number of instruction. Number of instruction is 3 into 10 to the power 10 divided by 1.5, which will be, so number of instructions will be 3 into 10 to the power 10 divided by 1.5. This will be 2 into 10 to the power 10. This many instructions. Again, this doesn't have any units. So we did question A and B. We did these two. another thing is you can find this PDF in the announcement. So I did show it in the announcements. This is the announcement you should be looking for, and here's the PDF and the PowerPoint. Okay, so last question. We're trying to reduce time by 30%, and this leads to increase of CPI by 20%. So reduce time by 20%, 30%. You can do it two ways, like so the current time plus 30% of the current time, right? So, and this will be equal to 0.7 t. You can do it quickly by doing 1 minus 0.3 to find this, or you can do it the conventional way. Both is good. And similarly, the increase of CPI, 20% increase of CPI, you can do it this way. So current CPI plus 2000 CPI, or you can directly write it as 1.2 CPI. Like the new CPI is like, and you can find this by 1 plus 0.2, so 20% increase. So we'll use these values to answer the third question. What should be the new clock rate if we want to get this reduction? So first, we need to find the formula that has CPI, clock rate, and also CPU time. So the formula, we have to look at the cheat sheet. I'm looking for CPU time, clock rate, CPU time, clock rate. Okay, this is good, but I'm also looking for what else I'm looking for? CPU time, clock rate. And CPI. I'm also looking for CPI. So the previous one didn't include CPI, but I need the one with CPI because I have all of these values and I need the new clock rate. And because it didn't mention anything about the instruction count, we can assume that it stays constant. So let's use this formula. Let us just do it quickly here. Insert new slide. Okay. So the formula is CPU time equal to CPI into number of instructions and the clock rate. So if we do it this way, CPU time new, CPU time old divided by CPU time new equals to CPI old. Let's say CPI is the old one, and then number of instructions, clock rate, right? Divided by CPI new into number of instructions, and this is clock rate old. We want to find the clock rate new. Okay, so the old time, it was, let's say, it was the old time, and the new time, we want a 30% reduction, as we have found that the new time is 0.7 multiplied by the old time, and the new CPI is 1.2 multiplied the old CPI. We can just put in these values. So 0.7 into CPU time old, CPU time old, and then this is the CPI old, number of instructions, clock rate. We know the clock rate old is 3 gigahertz, so let's just write it. Okay. And then let's flip this. The thing in the bottom, we have to flip it. So clock rate new divided by CPI new multiplied by number of instructions. We know the number of instructions stays constant, so we can cancel these two out. The CPU time old and the CPU time old get canceled out. We know CPI new equals to 1.2 of CPI old. So we can do it in the next line. 1 divided by 0.7 equals to CPI divided by 3 gigahertz divided by clock rate new, which we have to find. And this is 1.2 into CPI old, because CPI new equals to 1.2 into CPI old. That was given in the question, 20% increase. So now that we have these, the final answer is going to be these two things put up here. So let's just get the final result here. Okay. So clock rate new is equal to 3 into 1.2 divided by 0.7. Using the calculator, 3 into 1.2 divided by 0.7. 5.14 gigahertz. So you can do it this way, or there's another way you can follow where you know that the clock rate is 3 gigahertz, the CPI is 1.5, and the CPU time is 10 seconds. And you can find the new CPI, the value of the new CPI, because you know the old CPI, you can find the new CPI. You can find the new time, the reduced time, right? 7 seconds. And then you can use these values. You can do the same thing, but this time you're directly putting in the values and getting the so you're directly putting in the values and getting the clock rate new, which will result in the same result. So you can do it in different ways. The basics is simple. And sorry if this video was too rushed, but I just wanted to get this out before the final exam.